Hello everyone and welcome back to another video where today we are going to be talking about a rumour that has got everyone talking from, of all places, the sun. So apologies in advance for this, but it is actually kind of interesting because if this is true, obviously huge emphasis on if here, it kind of further adds credibility to something I've been saying for a little while. But before we get into it, do me a teeny little favour and click that subscribe button if you're new, that'd be greatly appreciated. We are trying to get to 40,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and we do regular Doctor Who content here on the channel. But with that said, let's dive right in. So this is a Sun exclusive. Who's next? Future of Billie Piper's Doctor Who role revealed as bosses try to revive the show after backlash over woke storylines. So yeah, immediately I want to say, obviously, the Sun is going to have a certain framing of this. I will say that they have had quite a few stories that have ended up being wrong, Matt Smith being in the 60th, for example, being one of them. There was one that I think they got right with, I think it was Ncuti leaving. They broke that a couple of days before, obviously, the reality war came out. So, but then you could say that a lot of people had already guessed that, and there were already rumours saying that he was going to leave, so who knows? But let's read the article. I'm just saying that to show you that, obviously, this is not an unbiased news source. BBC bosses are struggling to find a new Doctor Who star, and it claims that the role is poisoned after storylines alienated fans. The backlash has delayed plans for a new series following Ncuti Gatwa's decision to leave the Time Lord role after just 2 series. Billie Piper will not be the new Doctor, despite last year's regeneration. Viewers of the season 15 finale last May saw Ncuti 33 regenerate into Billie Piper 43, who had appeared as Doctor Who's sidekick Rose Tyler between 2005 and 2013. Incorrect, in 2013 she was the moment, but sure. The Sun can reveal that the actress and singer will not be the new incumbent as producers continue their hunt. I think that's something that a lot of us assumed, but what I find interesting is the way that they word it later on. They will have to act fast as they are committed to a Christmas special. An insider said, from the moment it was confirmed Ncuti was leaving, bosses have subtly been putting feelers out among the industry for an actor who could play the Doctor. An insider said, despite once being one of TV's most coveted roles, it's now seen as a bit of a poisoned chalice. Plus, anyone taking on the job will want to know if it's going to be a one-off festive special or go beyond that, as they will want to plan their workload over coming years. The last series of Doctor Who marked the end of the BBC's multi-million-pound deal with Disney+. And then it's just basically saying stuff that we already knew. So, okay, the thing I find interesting about this is not so much the confirmation that Piper won't be the incumbent Doctor moving forward. I feel like we all assumed that. Obviously also assuming that, she won't be the Doctor in the special, which again, I feel like we all kind of guessed she wasn't going to be the Doctor because at the end of the reality war it says, and introducing Billie Piper without the as the Doctor tagline. So I think we all kind of assumed that she probably wasn't going to be playing the Doctor, or at least it wasn't going to be that straightforward that she was the next Doctor moving forward. The bit I find interesting about this, though, is the way that they frame it as they will have to act fast as they are committed to a Christmas special, in regards to, searching for a new actor to play the lead role, which indicates to me that whether Billie Piper is the Doctor or not, in this case obviously it's saying that she would not be, that she would likely not be the lead of this special, and they are basically trying to find, if this is true of course, another person to basically frontline this special, which is very interesting to me because does that mean that they're just going to sort of abandon Billie Piper coming out at the end of the reality war, or is it just going to change immediately back? Because I've been saying this before, Billie Piper is incredibly busy on Wednesday. David Tennant, who's the other one who you could argue could fill the Doctor role for this Christmas special, has been busy filming Time. So I really don't know, actually, how much they could get either Tennant or Piper involved in this special. Add on to that as well, the whole thing about it being a poison chalice. I think there is some truth in the fact that actors are going to want to know how long they're doing it for. Are they doing it for just a special? Is there a commitment to a series moving forward? And this is one of the things I was actually thinking about the other day. When yesterday we talked about the season 3 scripts that are confirmed to now exist. Go watch that video if you haven't. I was making the point to a friend that I wouldn't put it past them to keep Russell T Davies on, purely out of the fact that they already have scripts for it. Granted, they'll need to be reworked to, you know, fit into a new narrative, but it wouldn't shock me if they kept him purely because the scripts are already there. Do you know what I'm saying? Because as well, you've got to consider the fact, if you are reaching out to other showrunners, obviously we've heard names like Jack Thorne be thrown around. How do you pitch that to someone like Jack Thorne, someone who is, you know, an industry, you know, kind of veteran? Because, let's face it, the show doesn't have, you know, a partner. It doesn't have, like, a set budget. It doesn't have a set format. There is no lead actor currently in the role. So it's a very hard sell for someone new to come in and be like, can you be the Doctor Who showrunner? We don't know what format it's going to take. We don't know what budget you're going to be working with. And we don't know whether we're going to have a streaming partner for it. Do you know what I mean? It's a very difficult sell to a new person. So I'm beginning to wonder if Russell will end up staying on purely out of necessity, really, because, again, it's an incredibly hard sell to someone in the industry to be like, come on this show, we don't know when it's being made, we don't know how many episodes there are going to be, and we don't know what budget you're going to have to work with, but please come on and do it. Like, do you know what I'm saying? It's kind of an impossible thing to really pitch to someone who's having to think about their career, and I think this is one of the issues we had with, obviously, you know, bringing back Billie Piper, is obviously she did it pretty evidently as a favour to Russell, but obviously that didn't account for the fact that Piper was going to be busy, and, you know, Tennant is also busy, and, you know, all of this sort of stuff, and it's a very interesting thing. I should stress, this is The Sun, so we shouldn't take it as gospel. We shouldn't even take this as, you know, pretty likely. We should take this with the biggest grain of salt that you can provide. But I do think there is truth in the fact that Piper is busy, Tennant is busy, so who do you get to lead it? I've said this before, even before this article came out, and if they are scrambling to find another Doctor, that would also indicate to me potentially even more evidence to the fact that Russell could be staying on, because it would be highly irregular for them to cast a new Doctor and then leave them with a completely different showrunner after one episode. That basically never happens. The only time I can think of that happening is, like, I think Barry Letts, you know, was where, like, a Doctor was already cast and then they were continued on with them. It's very rare, and it's never happened in New Who, where one showrunner will cast a Doctor and then, you know, a new Doctor, and then a new showrunner will come in and they're just expected to follow on from that Doctor after, like, one special or, you know, one series. It's very irregular for that to happen. So I really don't know. That's the thing. I think this special, I've said in recent videos, I don't think this special is going to be as straightforward as I think we've all sort of thought it was going to be. And again, I think that's partly out of necessity. But let me know what you guys think. If you did enjoy this video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you later.